Well, here we are at the end of 2020, a year that no one in their right mind could have imagined. And with all that's gone on, the most important thing, of course, is to say how thankful I am for your support. Support during one of the most difficult years that we could have imagined. It started, of course, with the terrible bushfires racing across Eastern Australia, ruining people's lives, and of course taking the lives of over 3 billion Australian native animals. Of course, while our nation burned, Taronga leapt into action. Our vets and nurses joined their colleagues in the field to provide support for the injured wildlife. While back home at our hospitals in Sydney and Dubbo, we cared for an unprecedented number of impacted animals. We launched our Wildlife Crisis Appeal, which generated the much needed funds so that we could take genetically valuable koalas from the Blue Mountains who were rescued from the path of incoming flames. We also rescued platypus from drying and fire-threatened waterways. Thanks to the generous support of the community, we provided these animals respite, care and food before they could be released back into the wild. And finally, when the flames were extinguished, we began to count the toll on our wildlife and our environment. A staggering 3 billion animals were killed and displaced from the fires, exacerbating an already dire situation for our wildlife. The road to recovery is going to be a long one, and never before have our conservation programs been more critical than they are right now. In a year that has had such an impact on our planet, I'm incredibly proud that despite all these challenges, our teams have achieved some remarkable successes, a testament to their decades of hard work. Our Regent Honeyeater breeding program is thriving, with Taronga Western Plains Zoo welcoming 23 chicks in their first breeding season. And at the same time, in Sydney, we marked 20 years of this breeding program. Our teams have had significant wins with breeding success for the critically endangered species like Plains Wanderer and the northern and southern corroboree frog, as well as a third successful release season for our Bellinger River turtles. Further afield, we continued to support our partners in global conservation programs, including work in Sumatra to protect rhinos, tigers, pangolins, and of course the beautiful sun bears. And back home, who could forget the bilby? In all my time at Taronga, it really hit home the importance of our work, standing there in Sturt National Park alongside our colleagues from Taronga, our conservation partners and the local traditional owners to release our zoo-bred bilbies back into the wild. The first time they would set foot in the wild in New South Wales in more than a century. But the bushfires were not the only crisis to afflict us all. On Wednesday, the 25th of March, Taronga marked a special day in our history, the first time to close our gates in over a century. During this time, it was business as usual for our dedicated teams of frontline workers who continued to come into work amidst the pandemic and undertake their vital work caring for our animals. At the same time, members of our Taronga family also proudly took up the mantle to support other areas of the COVID response through secondments to New South Wales Health and Energy New South Wales. True to Taronga's enduring spirit, from the midst of this crisis was born one of our most important achievements of 2020, staying connected to our community through Taronga TV. We streamed into the homes of more than 3 million people a week around the world with an array of virtual keeper talks, shows, live cams and behind the scenes content from across our 2 zoos. We had the world captivated. Our education teams were also quick to innovate, creating digital resources so that they too could continue to inspire the next generation of conservation advocates and scientists. And it was a big year for Taronga across all screens, with our hugely popular documentary airing across Australia and around the globe. Season 2 has just wrapped up and is in the can. So in 2021, we'll be bringing you great news stories from behind the scenes at Taronga. And after nearly 3 months, finally it was time to open, and with some fantastic new additions. In Sydney, we officially cut the ribbon for our state-of-the-art African Savannah precinct, welcoming back lions to Taronga for the first time in 5 years and connecting our guests to our conservation programs in northern Kenya. In Dubbo, we opened up the new Waterhole precinct, which has well and truly been put to the test, with Western Plains Zoo receiving record crowds during the spring school holidays. As we round out this year, I'm more excited than ever as to what Taronga is set to achieve in 2021. Our scientists continue to expand their cutting-edge research from cryobanking coral on the Great Barrier Reef through to the satellite tracking of sea turtles, and we look forward to working with Port Macquarie Koala Hospital on a dedicated koala breed for release program. Excitedly, we're also poised to take an important step by expanding our capacity to save endangered species, with works to begin for brand new wildlife hospitals across both sites and a platypus refuge centre in Dubbo. This is made possible thanks to the generous and much needed pledge from the New South Wales Government to match fund for these crucial projects. And we look forward to working with our supporters to raise the important funds for these critical projects. This last 12 months has challenged us in ways we just could never have imagined. But I'm so proud of what the Taronga team has achieved for wildlife across Australia and even around the world. And of course, this has only been possible because of your support. So on behalf of all of us at Taronga, thank you so much for your support this year. I hope you have a wonderful festive season, and I can't wait to see you again in 2021.